Atlungstad Distillery, a cultural experience centre where history and our cultural heritage interact with food and drink experiences. Come join us for exhibitions, concerts and theatre performances in the heart of a distillery that has been running for several generations. In 1855, Atlungstad Distillery was established, which was the start of a completely unique chapter in the history of Norwegian distilleries and industry.
I would say that the distillery at Atlungstad has a unique position. First of all, you have all the agricultural farmland around who produces absolutely superb potatoes, and you have plenty of water.
For over 150 years, production has been kept going here, more or less continuously, right up until the closure in 2008, which left Atlungstad Distillery in danger of decay.
The Riksantikvar Jørn Holme, he was quite interested in having a look at it, so he fell completely. So we ended up quite a lot of money in order to save it. One of the important groups were the Friends of the Distillery, and they're mainly farmers, and farmers are extremely useful people, they're very practical. so we've been extremely lucky in making the whole place up.
From 2014, the Golden Atlungstad Aquavit is back in production. Once a year, potato spirits are still burned on the historic production line here at Atlungstad.
In order to be able to produce good aquavits, we shouldn't experiment too much. We should go back to the genuine old way of making aquavit, so we don't do any shortcuts.
In the restoration process, a new quay was constructed by local carpenters. Rebuilt at its old location, the quay accommodates the historic paddle steamer Skibladner. In 2019, the Atlungstad Distillery was given protected status by the Norwegian Directorate for Cultural Heritage. We have been able to preserve through use. We still produce up to 20,000 litres of raw alcohol annually, done the traditional way.
This is now the only one we have in Norway that actually distill potatoes in this way. All the others have gone.
Atlungstad is a thriving museum offering cultural and culinary experiences, making this wonderful area available to new generations.
I think a setup like this will actually also intrigue and get the younger generation to be interested in coming.
Hello, Andrea. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Very good, very good. Thank you. It's very nice to see you here and have you join us today. So we are very glad that we will hear the stories about the Atlungstad Distillery from you today. And I know it is very famous and popular distillery in Norway and in Europe. I believe our audience would like to visit the heritage site to learn more about the site and your project one day. So our first question is about the background of this heritage site. So could you briefly introduce Atlungstad to our audience?
Yes, of course. Everyone is welcome here. Atlungstad Distillery is an old potato spirit distillery. We make raw alcohol, 96% alcohol, and use it for production of aquavit. It was founded in 1855 and was still going into 2008 before it was closed. And during the last 11 years, it has undergone a big renovation to fix everything and make it an open place for the public and a place where we can take care of the history and for all aquavit and distilleries in Norway. The process of establishing the new Atlungstad, one of the goals was to get on the list of the Norwegian technical industrial heritage sites in Norway. And we reached that point in 2019. We still produce around 20,000 liters of raw alcohol each year, but only for the purpose of maintaining the production line. We have taken the responsibility to manage and communicate the Norwegian history of aquavit and distilleries. Today, we are a tourist destination. We have a museum, offer guided tours. We host concerts and theaters, and we have a very popular restaurant that base everything on Norwegian cuisine and traditions and use regional products. And we have meeting and conference facilities also. So it's in this area. It has become an experience and activity hub for different activities.
Great, thank you. It's really good to know more about the Atlonstot. And could you also introduce your project to us? We'd like to know more about the details, like your rationale, the objectives of the project, and your strategies, and so on.
In the late 80s, a national movement about the maintenance and restorations of the old distilleries started. And many had their eyes on Atlungstad as the only one among a lot of old distilleries established in the 1800s that still was in use and had the production line intact. And it was unchanged. So the building had already started to decay from the late 90s until it was closed in 2008. And the next 2 years after that, also the machinery started to take a hit because everything stopped. So in 2010, a smart guy called Halvor Høeg talked to the Norwegian antique authorities, and they heard about the place. And in 2010, the Norwegian National Antique Authorities heard about Atlungstad and the old distillery that was starting to fall. And they had to act within a small window before it was too late to start the process of rehabilitating the place. It became important to restore Atlungstad with the objective of maintaining the historic line of production for the future. So in late 2010, a new corporation was established as a collaboration between public authorities, the private sector, and a volunteer organization called Friends of Atlungstad. The objectives was taking Atlungstad into the future as a cultural heritage site. The work to gain status as a Norwegian industrial and technical heritage site started. That was in 2010. This status was very important for Atlungstad because it would secure the long-term finances for maintenance. That was really important. So if we jump to 2019, as I said, Atlungstad finally made the list and was listed as the only one in agriculture industry. One other criterion for getting the needed finance from the national authorities was that we also had to make money through commercial operations. So by establishing a restaurant, offer guided tours, and making both the indoor and the outdoor areas open for public, we now attract up almost 30,000 visitors yearly, and the number increases every year. And that's much more than the people living in this area.
Understood. Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you, Andrea. So we also know that the project received the Europa Nostra Award. So do you think what are the main reasons, like the particular qualities or innovations of the project that lead to win this international recognition?
First of all, we're really happy to get the Europa Nostra Award last year. We got the award in the category Conservation and Adaptive Reuse. The one thing that the jury caught the attention of was the unusual partnership that I mentioned earlier between the public authorities, the private sector, and the volunteer organization. This collaboration formed the basis for the restoration work, and is still going strong for the further development of the place. Another thing that was that Atlungstad has kept the original machinery and technique, and the feeling of the building maintains the industrial tone. And then, of course, the methods are the same as half a century ago, and the skills are transferred in the same way as it was done in previous generations. The other element in the prize was the adaptive reuse. Atlungstad has been a workplace for many people since 1955, an important place, but it was closed for the public. It's our mission now to turn this perspective and make the place and its history available for everybody. And then, as I said, we opened the restaurants and offer guided tours and so on. Now we use the building for a range of activities and events, and that not only attracts the locals, but also people from all over the country and international tourists. These two important elements have given Atlungstad a new cultural and social purpose, but still maintain the original use. And that was something the Europa Nostra jury mentioned in their verdict.
Good. This is really inspiring, and congrats again for winning this award. So what were the difficulties and the positive experience you had during this project realization?
First of all, in the opening phase, the biggest challenge was to get the public authorities on board with the idea of starting the process of getting this industrial heritage site status in Norway. That would provide us the needed funding of the project. But however, when we got the status, they did all in their hands to support it. With the status also, they connected us to the stakeholders and people with the right competence and awarded funding that made us available or made it possible to complete the project. It was also challenging to combine the commercial use of the building with the historical side of it. I think probably many people have, many projects have the same challenges with that. The National Antique Act has some restrictive and specific guidelines, which made it difficult to do the required changes to use it as a commercial place. But with good support and competent people, we have worked together, and they guided us in this process. We have worked together to get the required dispensations that we needed to be able to develop the place further. So a very good experience is that the collaboration that I talked about sometimes now between the authorities and the private sector and the volunteers.
Thank you. Following up this question, to be more precisely, I'm wondering what are the lessons that you would like to share with us? For example, what are the conservation principles for protection of the Atlungstad distillery? Because we know it's a industrial and technical cultural heritage site. So what are the lessons you'd like to share?
The most important point is that the site as a whole must be preserved historic. That's the most important point. The building, the production plant, and the outdoor area must have the historic industrial character. And everything from the windows, furnishing, access road materials, the shoreline has to be preserved. And so the history of the place should be readable just by looking. Another thing is that nothing can be changed or removed. Nothing can be removed from this place. But we had to add some elements just to help us with the conservation, of course, and at the same time be essential for the new purpose. But all these add-ons are reversible, so we can remove it again.
Thank you. So one more question. Could you give us more details about the development of the Friends of Atlungstad Distillery and tell us why it is so important for this heritage site?
Yeah, the Friends of Atlungstad is very important. They have been important from the start and still is. The establishment was the establishment of the Friends of Atlungstad was important to secure the competent and engaged workforce during the rehabilitation, but it also meant important ambassadors for the project in the local community. By now, the Friends organization has around 2,600 members, and they have volunteered around 16,000 hours of work. That's impressive in a small place like this. It is still an important part of Atlungstad and the biggest stock owner. From the start, we were lucky to have one person. His name is Arve, and he became the head of this group, and he still is today. This person, he has a big network and managed to grow the association from a few in the start to the big group they are today. He still helps coordinating the schedule with the production and raises expectations from the whole gang. The members creates a positive and engagement that has long reach out of the local community by now. There are members from all over the country. They don't join when they visit Atlungstad. And it is also a popular gift because when you become a member, you get a personalized diploma and access to a very special aquavit. And also many of the members work as guides, and they know so much about this place. And they're enthusiastic when they meet visitors, and they talk about their experiences and tell interesting stories about the production line that makes our visitors to want to join them. So that's very cool, and they are really good. By now, the commitment of Atlungstad Friends, the Friends of Atlungstad, if you count the membership fees that you pay when you get to become a member and all the work hours, it's calculated to be valuated approximately 600,000 euros by now.
Got it. Thank you. It's very nice. So my last question in this interview. So what are your operational and management strategies to balance the tourism development and your social and educational functions?
We take good care of optimizing all the functions. None of them takes over for the other. The tourist destination will go side by side with cooperating with schools and social users all the time. We always take good care of holding into the history while we develop further into the current food and drink trends and traditions, and with the historical objects all around. Every room you enter at Atlungstad have objects from the history that's been used in that room. So the Atlungstad experience, as I call it, will provide you new knowledge in some way or another just by spending time here. A summer visitor that comes to eat in the restaurant, a shrimp sandwich, bring the co-workers to a seminar in the fall, and then maybe plan to organize their wedding on this site. We can provide everything here. So the historic knowledge, the focus on the good experience, and the welcoming team here at Atlungstad influences all that happens when you enter this destination.
Great. So in the end, we still have a little time remaining. So if you have any additional information you want to share with us, or anything we need to know before we visit the heritage site, now this is your floor.
We are international. We have all our guides can guide in English and German and Norwegian. And we're close to the national airport, so everyone can get here easily. And of course, the summer is fantastic here with the shore and the quay, and you can swim and everything. But we also we're open the whole year. And the winter at Atlungstad is also a very nice time to visit. And
thank you, Andrea. I'm very glad to talk to you, and I believe our audience would appreciate this interview video very much. So thank you again, and have a good day.
Thank you.